is a presentation of SIRTOBA Media and COMI Media Incorporated.
Welcome, one and all. It's that time again. We're back for Total Football Talk Extra. I am your host, Drew Willingham, and we are back for episode 21 of this program known as Extra of Total Football Talk, which you normally can see on Monday mornings from 11 a.m. Eastern Time to about 1:30 to 2 o'clock p.m. on Mondays. This episode is episode 21 of the extra edition that we have been showcasing for now 21 weeks of games covered on either late, like Mondays or Tuesday, Wednesday, weird times. During the holidays, we had games, the games on Wednesdays because of Christmas. Of course, Thursday games, to make it to where it's easier for us to be able to cover a decent amount within the Monday slate and still keep it within timing for reasons that we've discussed on air previously. But, I just want to thank you all for watching now 21 episodes of our extra content that we have had each and every week. This will more than likely be the last one for quite some time due to reasons as the remainder of the playoffs are on Saturdays and Sundays for the next couple weeks. And, of course, the Super Bowl is right around the corner. Pro Bowl and all that good stuff will be covered on the original show that is on Mondays. And we will also have the UFL and the CFL before we even get back to the 2025 NFL season later this year. So a lot of football still in store for Total Football Talk, but Extra will more than likely be on ice for a little bit after tonight. But thank you all for tuning into the intro as we now have to cover from the opening drive a recap from last week, and that is the Monday night game that we could not cover because it aired after our Monday morning edition, and I'll get to that now within our opening drive.
All right, let's go. We got trips right at 42, 989 on two. Ready? Ready.
And here within the opening drive, we have to discuss the game that took place on Monday night. And here on Monday night, we had the contest between the two teams that, I have a graphic for, but for some reason, it is not showing up here on this platform that I normally have for Total Football Talk Extra, so I will bring it up here shortly. The beauty of, setting up studios out here in these streams, but the graphic's already created. Just have to actually have it popped up on the screen. But when you think about the contest between the Rams and the Vikings on Monday night, Vikings scored 9 points against the LA Rams, who have been beat up for a decent amount of this year, finally got healthy at the right time, squeaking into the playoffs with a division win. The division was not really that tough to win out on with, who they're playing against this year and the way that the 2024 season, ended up being. But looking at it for what it is between the Vikings and the Rams, this 27-9 contest, it was pretty much over before it started. You look at Sam Darnold trying to play to get money out here and, try to forge his path here with Minnesota Vikings. Coming into this game, we did not expect to see this 27-9 contest this past Monday in this wild card game. And it was just one ugly contest that we're going to break down here within the review on the opening drive. Now, looking at this game, 27-9, the Vikings this year, winning 14 games out of 17, losing to the Detroit Lions twice, and especially the way they lost that last one, I think was just a pretty big blow to them. Sam Darnold just didn't seem like he recovered, as he was 25 of 40 on passing attempts for 245 passing yards. The amount of passing yards isn't horrible, but the fact that on those completed attempts, he only put up one passing touchdown, and he did turn the ball over twice with an interception and a fumble as well that was forced, along with not being able to have a running game. This Rams defense got at the Vikings offense and ate up at that offensive line. Aaron Jones only was able to put up 13 carries for 48 yards on the day, averaging 3.7 yards per carry. It's not the worst that we've seen in playoff football, but at the same time, when it just goes to show you couldn't establish the run with your number one back, because Cam Akers, the backup, had 5 carries for 39 yards, 7.8 yards per carry, and that's decent for the amount, but the fact that he only got 5 carries, thinking about the fact that he was pretty productive on the amount of carries that he had on the day, it just goes to show that they got their backs against the wall and they were forced to pass, which is why Sam Darnold had 40 passing attempts on the game. I mean, this team, Sam Darnold also added 4 carries for 19 yards, but I mean, that was because he was running for his life, because the Rams defense was pressuring them pretty bad. When you look at what their defense, Quentin Lake was the top tier player on that defense for the Rams. 6 tackles on the day, 3 assists within those tackles. Christian Rosenboom also had 4 tackles for 3 assists. And the one that forced the interception, Kobe Durant, number 14, he had a tackle and an assist, but that interception, along with the sack, which was a total of 5, well, let's add that up again, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 7 total sacks on Sam Darnold. When you add the halves up and everything, 7 total sacks on Sam Darnold on the day. The pressure was really, really big on Sammy, one of those being the big forced fumble for a turnover. Then the Rams would definitely put that whooping on the Vikings, because in the first quarter, Kieran Williams had a 5-yard touchdown pass that was called in from Matthew Stafford. Score would be 7-0 Rams with 10 minutes left in the first quarter. That being the first of 2 passing touchdowns on the day by Matthew Stafford. He finished with 209 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Did not turn the ball over at all. On the next possession, they would get a 34-yard field goal. The Rams would go up 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. They would also, not really give up any points until right about 2 minutes into the second quarter. They'd give up a field goal to the Vikings. They would be up still 10-3. The Rams would lead, and they would score on the next drive on that fumble return. On the next drive, they would punt, but on the drive after that, they would force that fumble, Sam Darnold, and he would give that up for a 57-yard fumble return. It would make it 17-3 L.A. Rams with 4 minutes left in the second quarter. After this, you would have to look at the fact that on the next drive, as they forced a Vikings punt, Davis Allen would take a 13-yard pass from Matthew Stafford. That would be his second passing touchdown on the day, and these would be the scoring drives leading into halftime, as the Rams would be up 24-3 at halftime, as they would score on that passing touchdown with 15 seconds left in the second quarter. I mean, 24-3 at halftime. It is not looking good for the Vikings, and I feel bad for my friends out there who are Vikings fans, because there were a lot of high hopes on this team this year. Coming into this game 14-3, going into the game against the Lions 14-2 for the final game of the year to decide the division, that game just deflated them. And going into what it looks like at halftime for this past game this past Monday, they were still deflated going into half, because down 24-3, that's just what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this game, and especially reviewing it right here and now. Going into the third quarter, it would be the remainder of the scoring for the game, as there would be no score by either team in the fourth. The Rams would put up another field goal to go up 27-3, and that would be the final of what they would score on the day. TJ Hawkinson, though, would take in a 26-yard pass from Sam Darnold. They would finally get on the board with a touchdown besides a field goal. They would try to go for a 2-point conversion to make it a 2-possession game, but they would fail on a pass from Sam Darnold, and that would be the final score, 27-9, as they could not move the ball really in the fourth quarter. and they were only held to 106 rushing yards total on the day, which that's still more than what the Rams did, but the Rams outpassed them, and they had more yards per play, so they were more productive with less time, because the Vikings won the time of possession battle by 5 minutes. They had 32 minutes and 18 seconds to the 27 minutes and 42 seconds of the Rams. The thing that really hurt the Vikings in this game was the interception that was thrown by Sam Darnold, as well as that fumble. I mean, those mistakes right there, if you make that 2-point conversion and you had scored on those other 2 drives that you had turned the ball over, it'd be practically tied or a one-possession game going into the end of it. And I'm pretty sure by the fourth quarter it would have been a little bit more interesting and you would have had a chance. But you end the season with a 14-4 record, that being the Minnesota Vikings as a result of this game from this past Monday night. When you look at it, it's unfortunate. I had high hopes for this team, but looking at it for what it is, we just have to say better luck next year, and they're going to have to get a little bit more help this offseason. Penalties could have cost the Rams in this game, and even though I have a really good feeling the Rams can put up a good fight against the Eagles this week, and I'll talk about that here shortly, they had 10 penalties for 95 total penalty yards that cost them in this past game. That could have really made a difference against a team like the Eagles or the Lions or even the Commanders if you were in the Final Four against them of the NFC. But, you know, with the teams that we have left in these playoffs games this upcoming weekend, it's going to be interesting to see what happens as a result from this game this past Monday night, as the Rams will be moving forward with a 27-9 victory over the Vikings. And let's see if they can carry that momentum forward beyond this as we go over what is left in store for them and the teams that remain in this playoffs this upcoming week. Now that we've gone through that with the open and drive, before we preview the upcoming games, we have to talk about the Grand Champ of the Week and the Snowflake of the Week. Now, Cole and I normally do it for the past week of the football week, but I'm going to do it from this past week of the one game that I'm pretty much covering for this being the extra edition covering the Monday night game. And for that, let's go ahead and take it into the Grand Champ of the Week and see who I picked for my MVP from this past game to decide who was moving on forward from that Monday night game.
All right, let's go. We got trips right at 42, 989 on 2. Ready? Ready.
Total Football Talk Extra.
Where my dogs at? Well, I got one this week for you. One indeed. And when it comes to the Grand Champ, my pick for this week is somebody that would make Pat McAfee very happy because I'm going to go to special teams. I'm actually going to go with the punter of the Rams. That being Ethan Evans, who had 5 punts in that game this past Monday night. 251 punt yards for 50.2 average per punt. And 3 of them were inside the 20-yard line. Pretty much set up multiple failed Vikings offensive drives with those long punts. 3 inside the 20, and you look at how many failed conversions the Vikings offense had. It was because of the special teams of this LA Rams team, and we have to give it to the Rams because of this punter right here. He is my Grand Champ of this week from this past Monday night's game. And the reason why I feel like the Rams were set up for success as their defense were able to hold the Vikings based on these special drives. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take it into my pick for the Snowflake of the Week.
Total Football Talk Extra.
Oh yeah, it's that time when it comes to the Snowflake of the Week. The worst player from this past Monday night's contest. I had many I could have chose from the losing team, and I really didn't want to pick it from this team because I was hoping this team was going to advance, but when it comes to this, I have to pick somebody, and I got to go with somebody who cost himself millions of dollars the past couple games. I'm going with Sam Darnold. 25 of 40 for completions out of attempts, 245 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown, yes, but he also threw an interception and had a fumble. In that left picture right there, the graphic, that's actually the one where he fumbled. And that's actually the Rams defender tackling him for the actual fumble. To the right, that's not related, but the one to the left actually is. He had 4 rushes for 19 yards, and I just believe he never recovered from that Week 18 whooping from the Detroit Lions. I'm going with Sam Darnold as my mother-fathering snowflake of the week for this past wild card round. And now, let's take it into the mother-fathering 2-minute drill and discuss what I have to discuss for these upcoming games. But the transition button that I normally click is not in its place. So I might just go right into the 2-minute drill without even clicking a mother-fathering button. This has got to be something that I must have done. But you know what? We can go from the 2-minute drill to the post game, and we'll just get interrupted by Yo King.
Total Football Talk Extra.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Oh yeah, this is 2-minute drill time, because even though we talked about it this past week on Total Football Talk, the original program, we'll talk about it right here and now when it comes to these upcoming games that we have for this upcoming weekend, a little bit more in depth as we had some time restraints on that Monday. And I kind of want to break down a few more things as to why I felt a certain way about a certain game and maybe how I might have swayed on another game to go with my overall pick, so we can make this into a short or a reel later for some other content out here in these streams. Now, when it comes to the NFL divisional round, we're down to 8 final teams. And for those of you who are watching live on COMI Media or on SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome, thank you as always for tuning in, and you can comment as we are live if you feel like it. But when it comes to that, we are going to talk about the upcoming 4 games for this divisional round of football. The Houston Texans are traveling to Kansas City this Saturday, which is tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Texans, I just don't believe have a chance, and Cole and I talked about this on Monday, just how inconsistent they have played throughout this season. The Kansas City Chiefs have, proven they are that team you got to beat, and I just don't believe the Houston Texans at this point, within their rebuilding over the past couple years, that they're ready to take on the Chiefs and defeat them within their roster of what they have and what the Chiefs have at this point. Kelsey's been heating up at the right time. They got a week off to rest, very much so like the Lions. It could come in very handy with people that have been banged up for both teams between the number 1 seeds for both the NFC and the AFC conference. So right here and now, I've got the Chiefs beating the Texans, and it might not even be a pretty game for that. They might get beat down pretty bad. So Chiefs are going to win as long as everybody stays healthy and is able to go from start to finish. We'll see how that happens. Here and now, on this Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I've got the Chiefs over the Texans. When it comes to our Saturday 8 p.m. game, the primetime game for Saturday, because there's only 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday, the Washington Commanders travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. And there's a chance that there could be an upset in this game. And I was talking about it on Monday. Some people say I was joking, clowning around. The Detroit Lions can very well win this game decisively, and I will accept that if it happens. But as a supporter of the Washington Commanders, I'm going to sit here and say that the Commanders have a chance. And I just have a feeling, I have a very, very true feeling that they're going to win this game 35-31. And it could be a different score. It could be within 4 points. Some people are saying they'll lose by 4. I'm saying they'll win by 4. The score could be less on the scoreboard, but by the end of it, if Jaden Daniels has the ball with 2 minutes left and they're only down by a possession, they're going to come back and win the game. I'm telling you, it's just meant to happen. This kid is special. He is not playing like a rookie. He is one of the best draft picks for any organization within the last decade, besides Patrick Mahomes. But as far as an actual top 1 or 2 draft pick that has actually been successful, one of the first ones since Andrew Luck that has really been successful as the number 1 or number 2 pick within those top 2 picks. So I'm going with the Commanders upsetting the Lions 35-31 in this matchup. I could be wrong, and I'll accept it if they do lose. And at that point, just happy that they got this far this year, because I only expected them to go 9-8 at this point when I was previewing the season back before week 1. So looking at it for what it is, they exceeded my expectations by winning 3 more games in the regular season than they would have been had they gone by my prediction of 9-8. And then they won a playoff game this past week in Tampa Bay on the road. Doink for the divisional. Yes, it came down to that. But the point is, when the clock struck 0, they won the game, and anything can happen. And if you ever watched the movie Angels in the Outfield back in the 90s, or even not, if you even weren't around in the 90s, if you're born after that, and somehow you watched the movie Angels in the Outfield, the baseball movie, it can happen. Little kids said it. It can happen. And it can happen this Saturday on the road in Detroit. I'm predicting the upset. Commanders win 35-31, and I really hope that rings true. If it does, they might not be able to go any further than where they would be beyond this game, but I'm predicting the Commanders to upset in Detroit 35-31. On to Sunday, we have 2 more games to decide who's going to the NFL's NFC and AFC championship. The Rams, who just won that past Monday night game, are traveling to Philadelphia to take on the number 2 seeded Philadelphia Eagles. In this 3 o'clock game, I've been going back and forth this week and saying the Rams have a chance to win, and I feel like they do based on the way the Eagles played in the previous week against the Packers. Because had it not been for Jordan Love turning the ball over 3 times, the Packers would have beat the Eagles, and the 7 seed would have upsetted the 2 in the wild card round. I'm going with the Rams finding a way to win this game, because even if the Commanders lose to the Lions in Detroit, which is possible, it's possible either way. It's a flip of a coin to me at this point. The Rams, Matthew Stafford, going back home to Detroit to face his old team to decide who goes to the Super Bowl. They like storybook moments. That would be it. I'm predicting that. I'm predicting the Rams to beat the Eagles in Philly. It's another upset this weekend. It's going to happen, I believe. Rams advance to the NFC Championship as a result of this game.
Hey! Who's giving them the business?
Final game of this weekend for the NFL playoffs, the NFL divisional round, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Baltimore Ravens travel to Buffalo to take on the number 2 Buffalo Bills. This team, Buffalo Bills, are meant to win this game and go forward on paper, but the Baltimore Ravens could upset them on the road and beat the Bills. I'm not predicting that, though. I'm predicting the home team to win this one. I'm predicting the higher-seeded team, the Buffalo Bills, to win this game, as Josh Allen has just played beyond expectations as the years have gone on. So Lamar Jackson, based on his start, when he was drafted, and then coming up and winning 2 MVPs. And this game's going to decide, more than likely, as they say, who's going to win this MVP for the past 2024 season, as the 2 reigning runners for the MVP race are facing off to decide who goes to the AFC Championship. And for that, I have the Buffalo Bills beating the Ravens. It's going to be by 1 possession, like 7 points or less. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a really good game, but a turnover or a mistake somehow is going to determine. It's not going to be based on King Henry. He's still going to run the ball. He's going to be a machine out there. Lamar's going to do well, but I feel like the Buffalo Bills, it's going to be a similar game to when they faced the Lions during the regular season. They're going to win by some type of high score of like 48-42, like it was in that Lions game. The Bills find a way to win it. I'm taking them at home. I like what they've done this year. I like what the Ravens have done this year. But surprisingly, the Ravens won a playoff game last week, as there was a lot of downfall with that over the past few years because Lamar couldn't get it done. He got it done. Now he's in Buffalo, in a tough place like Detroit's going to be tough for Washington tomorrow. But Sunday night, the Buffalo Bills are going to find a way to beat the Ravens and move on to the AFC Championship. That's my 4 picks. Chiefs, Commanders, Rams, Bills. That's my 4 picks. Could be wrong with the Commanders. It could be a little bit of a homer pick. But I just have a feeling that it's going to come down to 2 minutes left by 1 possession, and the Commanders are going to have the ball, and they're going to find a way to score. Because the Lions have been a great team, but the week off could be a little bit of rust. The Commanders have played in tough situations. They've played in a dome. They've won games on the road, especially when it all started when Cincinnati was hosting and they beat them on Monday Night Football. That's when JD started making his name early in the year. Then you had the Hail Mary game and everything that happened after that. It's meant to be. This is not just a pure homer pick. I don't believe they're going to the Super Bowl, but I have a strong feeling that they can go to the NFC Championship, and whether it's against the Eagles or the Rams, they are going to go and more likely lose. But whether they lose or they win, the fact is they made it this far, and that's a win in itself. They got their first playoff win since 2005, 2006, 2005's year, but in the 2006, January was when they got their last playoff win. It was a wild card win, but haven't gone anywhere further beyond that. This team this year has played well enough to where it's believable that they can make it to the Final Four. I don't think they're going beyond that, but we're going to see. And I'll talk a little bit more about it here in the post game.
As long as it's one.
I went to go find one yesterday, but I wasn't able to put the issues on.
That's great.
So,
I love it.
actually, I was getting to it.
This episode's pretty short. Last week I had a guest. I had Victor Lachlan here. I was unable to get, him or a couple. I reached out to a couple others as well when one was unable to come or the other. It's very last minute. I had a very, pretty busy week this week with everything, and had to get the Commander's Gridiron Report done earlier today, and I did that. And if you did not see that, it was a really, really good show that we had with Lake Lewis Jr., as well as Wole Akinso coming in as special guest to help discuss the Commanders at this point, as that episode is called Doink to the Divisional Round as the Time Expires and Wild Card Thriller. That was definitely a good 90 minutes spent on that podcast. If you get a chance, go ahead and go back and check that episode out, as that was a good one. But we are down to this. We are down to these 8 teams that could go to the Super Bowl. Some of these teams, questionable based on how we saw them play throughout the year. We wouldn't think that they have gotten to this point, to the final 8. Houston Texans were definitely a questionable team at one point in the way that they were playing. The Rams as well, with how beat up they were. Going into this season, nobody expected the Commanders to get this far, but they did. So out of these 8 teams that made it this far for the playoffs, congratulations to them. Definitely congratulations to the Houston Texans, the Commanders, the Rams, again, for teams that nobody would have expected to be at this point when throughout this season. The Houston Texans at the beginning of the season, yes, but as the season went on with the inconsistencies played by their offense, you wouldn't have expected them to get to this point. So for the LA Rams, for the Texans, for the Commanders, congratulations to get this far. The Lions we expected to be in the number 1 seed, as well as the Chiefs. Even when the season kicked off, based on the hype and based on how they have played throughout this year, definitely expected the Lions and the Chiefs to be the number 1 seeds. With the Ravens sneaking on up in there, behind the Steelers and doing what they did this year. Then you got the Bills and the Eagles. And, this season was definitely exciting. And for us to get to this point within the playoffs, it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out. But like I said in the previous segment, I have the Commanders over the Lions. Could be a homer pick, could not be. We'll see. I have the Rams over the Eagles. Could be because they're a rival. We'll see. Rival to the Commanders, and I would rather see the Rams in the NFC Championship. Yes. We'll see what happens. But again, I have the Commanders over the Lions, the Rams over the Eagles, the Chiefs over the Texans, and the Bills over the Ravens. We'll see how things happen after this final 8 of the NFL playoffs. Discussed this with Cole back on Monday. Definitely was a fun episode, but we had to see what the results from the Rams and Vikings game were, and I covered that earlier on this episode as the Rams decimated them 27-9, and that's why we had the graphic that we had for this episode. As I again said, they decimated the Vikings to advance in the playoffs, as we covered that in tonight's episode. To get to this point, we have the final 8 for the NFL playoffs. Shout out to Gridiron for providing this based on the Bleacher Report and their graphic over here, because I did not have time to put that together, and I wanted to make sure I had that put together for them, as I only had time to pretty much put up this graphic, this one, as well as the Snowflake of the Week that I picked earlier that we discussed with Sam Darnold, and the Grand Champ of the Week with Ethan Motherfathering Evans. As we are here for episode 21 of Total Football Talk Extra on this Friday, more than likely the last episode of Extra for a little bit, as we don't have any more Monday night games for quite some time until we get into UFL and CFL action. There might not be a need for Extra to be around until the next NFL season, so more than likely tonight's episode, unless we find ways to get creative with content, maybe utilize this platform to get guests on here to talk football outside of the Monday platform, that could be an option. But I myself need the break from this on Friday nights. It's definitely been fun, and we'll probably find ways to reincorporate Total Football Talk Extra in the future. But this, along with, the Commander's Gridiron Report and the original Total Football Talk show that we do on Mondays, I'm finding ways to still trying to get D Willy in the evening back, which that'll be back on Thursday, January 30th. So looking forward to getting that recorded and ready to go for that here soon. But a lot of football has been transpiring. I wanted to spend my time watching football and being able to talk it with you guys. And for the shorts I've been able to make out of this extra, for the shorts that I've been able to make out of the extra content, and for the support that I've received from you guys, whether it's been on YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube been pretty big for these shorts. I appreciate it. It's definitely been very fun. And just remember, when you're looking back on the picks that I have made from this past week, and especially the shorts that I'm going to clip out of tonight's episode, the one that I made from this past Monday's episode with Cole was definitely something that could age well, or I could get roasted for after tomorrow.
Any final thoughts you have before we let the tribe go?
Yes. Detroit Lions and your fans, you need to go back a little over a decade and watch an episode of The Breakfast Club when Birdman was on it. And just like he said, you need to put a little speck on my name. You need to put a little speck on the name of the Commanders, because you are not showing the speck. I'm already seeing some things from a man Hawk that I'm very disappointed about on Instagram story. And I'm going to clip this out and I'm going to show it to you when I come into work today. Because you need to put a little speck on the name of the Commanders. They're going to come in there. They might not be biting off your kneecaps like you bite off others, but they're going to be hungry too. And they're going to run around, and the game is going to be a little closer than what you think. You may win, even though I'm going to sit here and tell you that you're not. It's over. The Commanders are going to win, and they're going to upset you, and you're going to get beat by him, JD. See how well that ages after tomorrow. 35-31. That is my prediction. And, everyone is going to be watching it.
What?
Everybody who loves football is going to be watching this game.
What?
Because the Detroit Lions have a lot of hype on them.
What?
So do the Washington Commanders.
What?
And when the Commanders win.
What?
I said when the Commanders win.
What?
Can't tell you too many times, but I'm going to say it one more time. I think the Commanders are going to win.
What?
35-31.
What?
They win.
What?
I said they win.
What?
They're going to win.
What?
35-31, they're going to win.
What?
And to some, it may be a total.
Surprise, motherfucker.
But I feel like they're going to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
We shall see what happens. Either way, somebody's got to take the big old fat However,
You guys want to hear a fucking story?
the story is this. The Commanders are going to win this game because they are not this. They are not scared, and by the end of the game, they're going to be standing tall, wanting to hear this.
Acknowledge me.
Because the Commanders are going to win this game.
What?
I said they're going to win this game.
What?
They're going to mother-fathering win this game.
What?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the end of it, I'll be watching my favorite Christmas movie of all time to celebrate because it happened shortly thereafter.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yes, it did happen during Christmas, and it was filmed during Christmas, and the scenery is Christmas. You know it, and I know it, especially... you just know. Don't let this be a total.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Just
Oh, my brother, testify.
having a little bit of fun out here in these streams.
Let me talk to you.
This has been a fun season covering football. Definitely talking about it here on Total Football Talk Extra. We're going to see 4 teams take... This weekend, we will see 4 teams take those. Now,
Let me talk to you.
again, I have the Chiefs, the Bills, the Rams, and the Commanders. And please don't look at me and say this,
Stop it. Get some help.
because I'm just doing my best out here in these streams. At least I'm not out here on the In or Out Sports Debate in this moment, hating on this guy.
Okay.
We're talking football. So those of you who are just now tuning in, thank you as always for tuning in. Again, this is more than likely the final episode for Season 1 of Total Football Talk Extra, as I'm not sure when it will be coming back. It could be a week. No, it won't be a week, but it could be a few weeks, could be a month, could be a few months. Could be on up into next season after the first Monday Night Football game of the 2025 season, when we would more than likely utilize having the extra editions of this platform. So until then, or until we have extra interviews or other ways to utilize this show right here, Total Football Talk Extra will be on ice. And I greatly appreciate the support of those of you out there, especially my co-host and co-producer, the EP of all EPs, Cole Johnson, helping me out with not only creating Total Football Talk, together, but, extending his support for Total Football Talk Extra so that we can create more content for both of our platforms. And also, give me more content to cut down out here for some entertaining shorts like maybe I'll be able to use from this past clips that I cut out and we're clicking buttons of. But we'll see what the comments happen after in the replay, because during the live time, it was not a good time, I guess, tonight to go live. Not too much traffic happening during the live, but it is what it is. It happens. So, it's accepting. So it is what it is. But we'll get more content out here within Total Football Talk, within the Commanders Gridiron Report, and we will get more content out there for you for the other great programs that we have between COMI Media and SIRTOBA Media out here in these streams. Definitely take a look at Cole's Baby, the morning shift with Cole Johnson that he has Monday through Friday, that he has out there on YouTube and other platforms. For SIRTOBA Media, definitely take a look at on Wednesdays. You got the Student of the Games podcast with Kyle Nash, and you've got the Duval Dive and Jaguars podcast with Kyle Nash and Travis D. Holmes. Both of those usually on Wednesdays and or Fridays. He's had some different days he's been streaming here lately, but he has been consistent with definitely having episodes each and every week. My shows, again, Monday with Total Football Talk, And right now, because of scheduling reasons, we will still keep having the Commanders Gridiron Report on Fridays for now. And that will probably be my only show that I will do on Fridays instead of the double duty I've been doing each Friday for several weeks with both the Commanders Gridiron Report earlier in the day and Total Football Talk Extra, like right now, later on after that episode. I'll get a break from doing double episodes each week, so that'll be nice. But with that being said, definitely Commanders Gridiron Report on Fridays. Those projects for myself, D Willy in the evening, my comedy, non-sports related show that I do, will be returning on January 30th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So beyond that, my man Corey Mann with 2 N's has his show on Saturdays. You can check out the professional wrestling show that he has, The Review. He has great guests on there. Has over a dozen episodes now, has been absolutely crushing it out here in these streams. I'm very proud of him and really appreciate him coming on board and producing that great show, and look forward to seeing more things from him. He's even got a recent reel up or short that's up on the YouTube Shorts. It's been doing pretty good right now. For those of you watching this on YouTube, go check out the short section on our channel after this this live ends here shortly. But go check out his content. If you like professional wrestling, he's doing a great thing with The Grind, a wrestling podcast over there. So definitely go check that out if you have a chance, and we'll see what he creates going forward now that Raw's moved to Netflix and SmackDown's on USA, and SmackDown's actually wrapping up right now. It's a 3-hour show from 8 to 11 on Friday, so I'll check the highlights out later. But he'll keep me posted on his program, so I look forward to seeing that tomorrow. But for those of you who love football, we have a great weekend of football ahead on Saturday and Sunday. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing what these 4 games outcomes look to be. High hopes again for the Commanders. I still stand tall with what I said, 35-31 Commanders. However, if they lose this game, we got this far, and I predicted them to get to 9-8 this year. So they exceeded my expectations. 13 wins, 1 playoff win, first in 19 years. Regardless of what happens tomorrow, I'm a happy guy. But from my man Hawk, I'm telling you, 35-31 to my man Hawk. Commanders over the Lions. That's what I'm going to say for this, and I'm going to follow it up with this.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
And it will not be a total,
Surprise, motherfucker.
because I told you. Now, with that being said, we really only have one more thing left to do, and that's look at one badass outro made by my man Cole Johnson. I want to thank you all again who've had the chance to watch this, whether it's live or in the replay, because the replays have been doing pretty good. But to those of you watching these, the shorts, the episodes, any content by myself, and those who contribute to this brand,
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
it means a lot to me for the support, past, present, and future. I hope we can do some more great things in 2025 beyond Total Football Talk Extra. But for now, this will be at rest, as we'll not have another Total Football Talk Extra edition until later this upcoming fall. For myself, Drew Willingham, and for the executive producer of our show, Total Football Talk, Cole Johnson, I only have one more thing left to tell you, and that is to stay safe out here in these streets. You don't have to go home, but you got to get your cell phone up out of here. This has been a great episode. This has been a great show. A great series of 21 episodes. Greatly appreciate you all who've taken the time to tune into this program for these past 21 episodes. Maybe sometime soon, maybe not, but we'll see when we can get this show back on the air of Total Football Talk Extra. I appreciate you all. Stay safe out here in these streets.